How astonishing that a Holocaust hero had lived quietly here in Vermont, Vermont for 30 years. Marion Pritchard, a slight, unassuming Gentile woman, was credited with saving over 150 Jewish lives during the Holocaust. Despite her small physical appearance, she took a monumental stand against Nazi directives, saving hundreds of Jews from sure death. Marion Pritchard was different from her fellow citizens of the Netherlands because she took it upon herself to take action. But why? What was it that urged her to action? Was Marion simply more brave than the others? Or was there something else that compelled her to act? What are the characteristics of a person who chooses to take a stand? And wouldn't it be great if parents and teachers could instill those characteristics into young children? Marion Pritchard was born in Amsterdam in 1921. By September 1939, World War II was beginning all over Europe. Throughout the 1930s, Jews were segregated, devalued, and demoralized. On May 10, 1940, Hitler invaded the Netherlands. By May 15th, the Dutch people had surrendered to the Nazis. In spring of 1942, a young Marion Pritchard was riding her bicycle down a main street in Amsterdam when she saw the unthinkable.
Particular morning, they're emptying out this children's home, and they're throwing the kids on the truck by an arm and by a leg, one little girl by her pigtails, and I'm sitting on my bike not believing my eyes. And then there's a woman coming from the other, two women coming from the other direction, and they tried to stop the Nazis, and they picked the women up and threw them on top of the kids and drove off. But that was when I fully consciously decided that this was it.
This was the moment Marion Pritchard decided to take a stand. She knew nothing else she could be doing was more important. Though she was not a Jew herself, she understood that it was what she had to do. Marion grew up in a family who believed strongly in justice, tolerance, and acceptance. Differences among people were appreciated. Her father was a liberal judge with strong anti-Nazi views, and her mother came from a family where church morals were highly valued. They both held long discussions with Marion where her opinion was valued. They taught her to be an independent thinker and that all lives, regardless of race, gender, or sexual orientation, had equal value. One of Marion Pritchard's close friends later in life was Madeline Kunin, Vermont's first female governor, and whose family fled the Nazis to the United States in 1940 on one of the last boats allowed to arrive in the United States with Jewish refugees. She met Marion Pritchard at Vermont's first Holocaust memorial ceremony that Ms. Kunin organized while she was governor in 1987. They had been close friends ever since.
I just admired her immensely, and so she was more than a personage. She became a friend, and she encouraged me too. I mean, it was a mutual friendship.
Ms. Kunin went on to share a story about one of Marion's dramatic rescues of the Pollock family.
She had hidden a Jewish family, mother and father and two children, under the floorboards in her apartment or her house. And the Nazis came to check it, and everybody was hidden, and they were safe.
Marion Pritchard went on to say,
But an hour later, after I had let the children out, the policeman came back alone, and I felt that I had no choice but to shoot him. The baker agreed to come and get the body as soon as curfew was over. Carol and the baker together went to see the local undertaker, and the undertaker agreed to bury the body in the coffin of somebody who was being buried the following day. I don't know whether they told the family that there were two bodies in the coffin. I just hope they approved.
Marion's additional life-saving acts included kidnapping Jewish babies and reuniting them with their rightful families, posing as an unwed mother while delivering babies to accepting Gentile families, helping a Jewish pregnant woman deliver her baby, and lying in the same bed as a gay man in order to save his life. At the conclusion of the war, Marion began working as a social worker in relocation camps for displaced people where she met her husband, Anton Pritchard. They were married in 1947 in one of those camps. The couple eventually moved to rural Vermont, where they lived for 30 years and raised 3 children. Marion Pritchard worked for many years as a child psychoanalyst and social worker and eventually moved to Washington, D.C. Marion Pritchard sadly passed away on December 11, 2016. For all of her heroic rescues, Marion Pritchard won numerous honorable awards, including the Raoul Wallenberg Award in 1996. She was also recognized by Yad Vashem in Israel with the Righteous Among the Nations Award, which is a very high honor given to only Gentiles in recognition for their heroic efforts to save the lives of Jews during the Holocaust. So why did she do it? What set her apart from the rest of her fellow citizens so that she would risk her life and possibly the lives of her family to stand up for Jewish people when so many others chose not to? In 1984, Samuel P. Oliner and his wife, Pearl M. Oliner, both sociologists, set out to find answers to those questions. They attended a conference of Gentile rescuers, and after extensive research, they wrote the book The Altruistic Personality. They determined that those who actively took a stand, quote, were distinguished by characteristics such as empathy and a sense of connection to others, end quote. This began in close family relationships, where parents modeled caring behavior. Nakama Tek, also a Holocaust survivor and sociologist, wrote up her own research on the behavior of rescuers and non-rescuers in the book When Light Pierced the Darkness. The results of her research concluded that individualism was the common trait among people who took a stand. This individualism allowed them to act separately from the whole of society. They had, quote, high moral principles, independent spirit, and the courage to act on their own convictions, end quote. According to Marion Pritchard herself, she was raised in a family very similar to these descriptions, raised to be a compassionate yet independent thinker.
By 1945, I had stolen, cheated, deceived, and even killed. I firmly believe that my parents' particular style of child rearing provided my motivation. I was never punished. I was encouraged to put all my feelings, negative and positive, into words, and was treated with respect and consideration from the time I was born. And as a result, I grew up treating other people the same way.
Miss Pritchard explained that she could not have saved so many lives without the help of others. Although they were not activists on Marion's level, she believed that they were all positive contributors. She described the actions of her supporters on a continuum. Some people knew she was hiding Jews, but did not report her, even though they would have earned a monetary reward. Others silently provided help, such as a milkman leaving an extra jug of milk on her doorstep. Additionally, she learned that if asked, some people will take action. The last group will take action on their own. Research has shown that people who are brought up with parents like Marion's, who model empathy and a deep connection to others, while encouraging independent thinking, are more likely to stand up for others in need.
You just have to act on your beliefs and do the right thing, which is difficult. I think she understood it was difficult, and maybe not everybody can do it, but she was able to do it, and she's a great model for others. She was wise in other ways. She was just sort of a deep thinker and a compassionate person, so I greatly appreciated her friendship and the fact that I was able to get to know someone like her.
Yeah, thank you. We need to use the example set by Marion Pritchard as a role model to raise children in upcoming generations with close connections to others and the ability to think independently so that they too will be compelled to stand up against evil.